So, as coaches and creators, we often get into this state where we start getting a little bit worried because we haven't had any inbound leads for a while, or we're putting out content but we're not really getting much of a response. We're not really getting much come back to us. And we've all been there. We're all guilty of experiencing this thing, right? And starting to think, where's my next sale going to come from? What's going on? Now, I work with a lot of coaches, and I see this come up again and again and again. Coaches that, my clients, they might even go for 2 weeks without like a clear inbound message or something like that. And they start to get worried. They start thinking, what's going on? They start feeling like their content is just not hitting anymore. They feel like they're just posting content and it's just going into the void and no one is actually paying any attention. Now, when I'm talking to my clients and I look at this, I always ask one thing. When was the last offer that you made? And the offer doesn't need to be, join my core program. The offer could be any sort of offer. It could be an offer to your core program. It could be a sprint offer. So, still selling your core program, but selling it in a short sprint, 6 weeks, 8 weeks or something like that. It could be a micro offer, which is selling a small piece of your program for, £50, £20, £100 or something like that. Well, finally, it could even be a free offer, a free resource or something else that you put out. I look at how long has it been? 2 weeks. Okay. When was the last offer? 4 weeks ago. Like the last time they put anything out, 4 weeks ago. It always goes that way. And here's the reason why. Because if you want your market to respond to you, you need to give them something to respond to, right? This is why so many coaches constantly feel worried, not sure where their next client's going to come from, and constantly feel helpless in their business, helpless, feeling like it's all based on luck, because all they do is post a tip every single day, a random tip, and hope that the person on the other side is finally going to decide at that moment, okay, I want to work with this person, and they drop you a message, right? We end up just posting and hoping. Now, one solution to this that you've probably heard a lot is go and send more DMs, right? So someone might get you sending hundreds of DMs to hopefully get 1 to 2 people actually respond, and then one of those out of the 2 that might actually become a client, right? But it's not very efficient, and it's all based on force. When it stops, the sales stop. I prefer a different way. I prefer putting out offers that people actually want to respond to. And again, when I'm looking at my clients, that's always the case. The client, the inbound stopped when the offers stopped. And as soon as we get back on it again, the inbounds begin. We start to get people coming back. Why? Because we're actually giving people something to actually respond to. So this happened really recently, literally last week with my client, Jack. So Jack had been on holiday. He came back and he got back into, doing his normal thing for about a week or two, just posting like normal. And he was messaging me saying, I'm a little bit worried. I haven't had, over the last 2 weeks since I've been back, I haven't really had that much interest. And I said, you haven't done an offer. Like, how can we expect to just be lucky enough for someone to decide to message us over the last 2 weeks? We can't. Not when we're trying to build a predictable business. So I said, run a micro offer. That simple. Put something out that people can that's actually valuable, that people can raise their hand for, right? On Monday this week, he ran his micro offer. It's a 5-day, 5-day online challenge for £50. He launched it on Monday, and by Wednesday, he had 5 people, completely brand new leads, signed up on that offer. That means he's got 5 completely brand new leads, or as we call them, customers, because they've spent something. 5 red hot leads. He's got £250 extra in the bank account, which is nice, but more importantly, 5 red hot leads that are better than leads, because not only have they shown interest in him, they've actually already spent money to solve this problem, and they've spent money with him, which is very, very good indicator of if they are going to be worth, chasing up or not. He's then going to have a 5-day free challenge with, or not free, 5-day paid challenge with them, which is going to do so much more selling. And every single one of these customers has a one-to-one call bundled in, which means he's basically in 3 days booked, and there'll be more than that. They'll probably end up on 10. But he's basically booked 5 paid sales calls with people that are very willing to invest because they've already paid something, and very willing to invest with him because they've already paid him something because he put out an offer. So, and this happened with another client. She did her offer, and in about 4 days, it was £33, and in 4 days she signed up 15 into this micro offer. So the answer is almost always make more offers. When we make more offers, things start to work, because why are we posting? We're posting for clients. So don't be afraid to make offers. It solves so many problems when you can just make offers. But the really cool thing about making offers is when you make an offer, you gather data for the next one, right? So not every single offer needs to actually work perfectly. Let's say he did this offer and he got 5, 10 leads, so people asking for more information about the offer, but no one bought. Initially that could look like a failure or a waste of time. But what happens is, out of these 5, 10, 15, whatever people that asked for information, we can speak to them. Cool. What's your problem? What were you looking for? You can find out why do they not want to jump on this thing. And you start to understand what was the thing that got them to raise their hand in the first place and show a sign of intent. What was they expecting, and what would they have wanted to jump on? And what stopped them from jumping on this one? And then we have feedback. Then we have data. These 5, 10, 15 people, we can sell them on something else immediately anyway, but we can also use that feedback to be able to continue, move forwards, and make better offers. So making more offers is almost always the answer. And it doesn't always have to be your core offer, right? It doesn't always have to be the exact same thing all of the time. If you are ever feeling quiet, look around. You are an entrepreneur. You are a creator. You can do this. Look around. Look at what the offers that you've made in the past. Look at what people are thinking about and looking at and talking about at the moment. Look at the things that do seem to be resonating with your clients. Look at what clients need. All of these things. Put your creator hat on and think, how can I create an offer here? Whether it's free, whether it's paid but small, whether it's a short but your core offer, or maybe it's just your normal core offer. How can I create an offer here that will create motion? Because all we want to do is put something out that gets people moving through the system and gets you identifying people to start to speak to and actually sell to. It works very, very well. And most coaches and creators are having a very hard time because they're way too passive. They're just posting and hoping, and they're not thinking, what can I put out there that people will find valuable, raise their hand for, and I can start to speak to them.